Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining me today, he's back. We've got him back on the pod. It's Robert Howard, a sprinter from Alabama. You're back in Tuscaloosa. You just finished your ISL season with the DC Trident. You've been back for about 3 or 4 days now. Has the season itself have you had time to process it? What has come up for you in these last few days after this season has come to an end for you?
Yeah, so it was a unique experience. I think you can see just how some teams approached the for us it was 4 weeks, and I guess the semifinals aren't too far away in finals. So it's kind of a grueling stretch of swimming, and it's interesting to see how different people approach it. You know, if you train a little bit more at the beginning, or you got to taper because you can't be on for the whole 6 weeks. It's just you can't be like tapered for the whole 6 weeks. So I think that's an interesting aspect to training that we don't usually have. So it's uncharted territory a little bit. I mean, I guess some people do all the World Cups and everything, and that's fast. But this was definitely different. For me personally, I thought the first meet went well. I was just relay only on that meet, but then the next few days I was training well. I started feeling a lot better. And I mean, I went fast in the first meet. I went faster than I did all last year. So that was like really encouraging, considering just topsy-turvy training this summer and even a few days before we left. But then I was training good, and then I started feeling like I was getting like the chills after practice, and I had a headache, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got COVID. and I was sick, and luckily we got a test. I didn't have it, but there was it's kind of like it was a stomach bug going around, and I got that, and I didn't eat for 2 days. Leading up to our second meet, and I swam just kind of I didn't know what to expect, but I was like, I'm just going to go out, and it was difficult. Definitely not eating for 2 days and then competing at a high level is not recommended. And then we had a meet 2 days or we had a 2-day break and then another meet. And I just didn't have enough time to kind of get some strength back. I lost some weight, and I did that meet. And then the last meet, I had nothing because I just lost a lot of base and lost a lot of power and strength. So it was weird. And I know a few other people had it too. I don't know if it was the food or what, but that was a little disappointing. But I take the first meet and see that, and I know that even despite the training we had before and this summer, how it was kind of crazy, that I still swam faster than I did last year. So that was a plus for me.
Yeah. That certainly seems encouraging, and it's always illness just sucks always. I don't think there's any way around that. And so that is unfortunate, but let's talk about, just kind of being with the team, the DC Trident. Everyone I've talked to from that team, every interview I've seen, I mean, you guys seemed to have a really good connection going on. Tell me about those 4 weeks with those teammates of yours on the DC Trident.
Yeah, DC Trident's the most fun team. That's what we say. It's last year we set the groundwork for the team culture that we had, and we had some people leave and we had some people come on, but I think everybody that came on just kind of stepped right into it. And it's very I have no experience from other teams, but it's just a very just laid back, there's no drama, nothing crazy, it's just real easy to hang out with those people. And we had some fun, and we didn't quite have the best results, but we still stuck in the fight, and we all kind of rallied behind that of just, we just got to keep on fighting no matter what. And so that was kind of a fun thing that kind of brought us all together.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that I like about the ISL, this league that that is much like any other league, an NBA or an NFL. It's like you guys, on paper, were one of the lower scoring teams, but in terms of how many points you scored per match, um, but you guys had stars. Everyone has stars. You were winning events, you're winning relays.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys still have so many components that were hitting at a really high level, and so it makes it still fun to watch. And like you said, behind the scenes, you guys are still enjoying it so much and enjoying each other so much that I think it's really important to get that perspective.
yeah, no, definitely. I don't like getting fourth. I don't like losing in the meets. I don't, it'd be fun if we'd be pushing for the title and it'd come down to the last skins race and we need to win that one or we need to get someone in the second round. But that's where this league needs to, I mean, it happens sometimes. I'm hoping the semifinals are exciting and the finals last year were really exciting. So that's something that I wish I mean, our first meet, we were down like 30 or 40 to Aqua Centurions going into the last session. And then we like inched back and it was one skins round after another. We like finally, and we overcame them. That was really fun to be a part of. And that was just for third place. So like, imagine if it's the team title and stuff. So that was fun to be a part of. And even though, we weren't going to win every meet or anything, it was still fun. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I think it's as a fan, it's easy to get caught up in like, okay, who's winning, but you have to remember that all these athletes are the top 0.0001%. They're all putting up really great performances, and win or lose, like there's still really great things happening
yeah.
just for our sport in
Yeah.
general. So let's talk about. I'll bring the focus back to you. You were managing school through all of this. Tell me about. And I don't think you're alone in that. I think I've talked to a few other people who were working through college classes during this ISL season as well, which just sounds nuts to me. But tell me about how that went for you.
So that was interesting. With the time change, it made it, I don't know about harder, but luckily I had some group projects, and if this was happening, if I had to stay even longer or it was going on until December, it would have been really bad because I just have a lot of group projects right now. But before it was, this most stressful part was just not having a great like Wi-Fi setup. Like the first day I had a test. The Monday I got there, I had a test.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
like it was so stressful because the Wi-Fi. I was downstairs in the lobby because the Wi-Fi in your room is, at least in my room, was not very good. So it was hard, and then you just had to adapt, and you had to go. You had to be down in the lobby. So I mean, everybody they'd walk past me and see me every day, and they're like, "Man, every time you're down here, you're on your computer doing something." And that was the same like Tommy Cope, and I saw a lot of people that were doing that. Luckily, my classes were in the morning over here, so I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
any class that was later than like 10 o'clock. So that was fun, and I could do them all through Zoom. But it was a lot of balancing, and but it was kind of nice. If I had an assignment due at 8, I could do it, which was then due at 3 over there. I could do it that morning of, and it was different. But yeah, it was a challenge. But I got a I got an Ethernet adapter from my Mac, and that made it a lot easier. So I could be in my room, and I didn't have to go bring everything down, go sit down there in the lobby, and wear my mask while I'm doing all this and everything. So I figured it out towards the end.
Nice. Yeah, I mean that. I again, you're over there in a completely new set of circumstances, trying to compete at the highest level you can, and then balancing,
Yeah.
a, a load of collegiate classes in there. That sounds, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Luckily, my like classmate, my group mates and stuff were very like considerate of that fact that I'm doing my best. I'm trying to help. I don't want to just not do the work. I'm going to do something, but they weren't just like, you know, they understood it, and whatever, they were good with it.
That is really nice. I mean, I would think if you told, your classmates, "Hey, I'm a professional athlete. I'm in Budapest in a bubble
Yeah.
for 6 weeks." Can
And, and my teachers were cool with it too. So that was like good. Cause I was like, when I emailed them all before I left, I was like, I hope they don't say like, they don't give me a hard time here. Like
Yeah,
it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to go to this, and I can't just pass it up because of school.
yeah,
So
yeah. I agreed, and that is really cool that everyone seems to be understanding.
yeah.
Looking ahead to the immediate future, I we you said right before we started recording that you've still been doing classes all this week. You just got home from a heavy session at the library. What are the next few weeks looking like for you?
So the pool situation in Alabama is kind of fluid. Everything, just the pros. I think with the pros, it makes it tricky because we're not in the protocols, we're not getting tested, and so it's harder to let us. It's just harder to I don't know, find a place for us to do it and stuff. So like the past few days I haven't swam, just to kind of also just to kind of get my schoolwork out of the way and just not have to worry about that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get back in the water and get in the weight room and stuff. Kind of, it's gonna be different than the usual um, college schedule of build through September, October, and then race in November, and then kind of you go back home for Christmas, and you maybe not you have so much training that you can afford to maybe not be in that environment where you're with the whole team and everything that week of Christmas. Whereas now it's like that's going to be kind of like building the blocks, like laying some foundation, getting ready to train through January, March, April. So I'm kind of looking towards that, and just get in the weight room, get some strength back, and because that was 4 weeks of racing is and especially towards the end it was bang 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 these meets, so not a lot of training, not a lot of lifting, so definitely need to come back and build back up a little bit.
Yeah. What uh that like you said, especially the schedule certainly changed because at first it was like, okay, we're racing
Yeah,
once a week for those first 2 or 3
yeah,
weeks, and then like week 3 or 4 it's like 2 days on, 2 days off, 2 days on,
yeah,
which is nuts. But it did give you some time to have different amount. It gave you a period where you're racing at different intervals, right? What did you take away? And I know you had said you were sick and you certainly not at your best. But what did you take away from having a week and then having 2 days of racing and then having 2 days off and then 2 days of racing?
yeah.
Um,
It's just different. I mean, it's hard to compare it to anything. I mean, there's no. I think we had a dual meet one time where it was we swam on Wednesday and then we swam on a Friday or a Saturday or something. Or we swam. I don't even think it was that. Maybe it wasn't even. I don't know. We just it's not something we're used to in swimming. So I think people are going to find what works best, and I think that's going to. This is some trial and error. Obviously, next season for ISL, it's not going to be like this condensed format, but it's still going to be. It's going to be different than I think what Constantine, the owner, wants. His vision is to not have it so much be every meet you're at your peak, every meet you're at your best. The people, the random people are going to watch aren't going to know that. I mean, football teams, basketball teams, they're not. If they trained like we did and then swam in the Olympics every 4 years, they'd probably play a lot better, maybe. But that's everybody's in that situation, if that makes sense, of training and then now it's like meets, a whole lot of meets. So it doesn't really matter if you're at your peak. It's going to be different. Some people are going to approach it differently, but after you have 3 meets in a span of 10 days, everybody's going to be beat up to that level. And, it's getting away from kind of the times. And I mean, people are still swimming fast, but getting away from that idea of peak performance. I have to taper perfectly to swim at this time. Whereas now it's going to be more professional attitude of, all right, I'm racing this day, just, I don't know. It's a different approach to swimming than I think has been in the past.
Yeah, and I think that right. That's one of ISL's goals. Certainly, it's what I as a fan have loved about seeing ISL so far. And to you, is that more of a physical thing, more of a mental thing, or both? And how people are approaching that, and how people kind of have to make that shift.
I think it's I think it's I guess it's definitely, I mean, it's definitely physical and mental. Definitely, I think it has to do with training, and you're going to see more. You might have a like meets. I don't know I can't remember what they wanted to do this year. How many meets it was going to be for each team, but you might have a
I think it was 10 for each team.
and then the semifinals, then playoffs, or then
I
finals.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe you have like a cluster of 3 meets that are within a 2 week span. And so you have more of like camps, and then you do that, and then you go back to another camp of training, and you do everything. And when you're there, it's more, you're approaching it differently. You're maintaining, you're not going crazy in training. Um, I don't know. It's different. I mean, I'm a sprinter. I don't really, I can kind of lower the yardage a little bit and still be fine. I mean, people swimming like 4 200s in 2 days, it's going to be different. But then the mental side of it is it's a balance, because when you're in a dual meet in college, you're not like, it doesn't really matter if it's good for your team to win, but it's not like it's going to affect your seeding at SECs or anything. It doesn't. But
Mhm.
the matches, how they play out matters. And I mean, another team, obviously there's gonna be scenarios where teams can rest swimmers or load management type stuff. But it's a balance mentally of, a dual meet in college, you can just be like, okay, like I don't, whatever. I'm just beat the guy beside me. But when you're at ISL, it's like you're swimming against the world's best, and you can't just kind of win the race. You have to really like focus on swimming the best race, if that makes sense, um, and people are going to approach it differently. So you might have some people that are shaving for these meets, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's not like football, it's not like basketball, but it's not so different that we make it like as different as we make it, I think.
Hmm. Right. I think we have that ingrained culture of you train for a really long time and then
Yes.
you taper for one
Yeah.
meet instead of and ISL is the complete opposite, right? Where it's like, yeah, sure you train, but then also you get to the competition and you race a ton, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what's keeping you going. That's how you're getting in shape. That's the main thing. And
What's yeah.
yeah.
What's better, swimming fast, swimming at your 100% once or twice a year, or swimming at 90% 10 meets a year? You know,
Yeah.
that's where I think the mindset shift comes in with ISL.
I agree, and that I think it's better for fans to see
Yeah.
90% 10, 12 times a year, and
Yeah.
I think we've seen a lot of swimmers kind of start to shift there, but also it's better for the sport, right? Because then you have fast swimming happening all year, and
Yeah.
it's like in ISL it is still fairly new and people still are adjusting, but we've seen world records, we've
Yeah.
seen personal bests every single
Yeah.
meet in
Yeah.
Budapest.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
so it's
not
like,
it's not impossible. It's
yeah,
I think it's kind of blowing up some of the misconceptions, or the preconceived notions of training and how things work. Because swimming's definitely gone a long way from like the 60s to now, or the training styles. But I think there's still so much further to go and this ISL can take it to the next level.
Yeah, because we've seen how training, a lot can work for some people, but
Yeah.
we've also seen a lot of examples of how racing a lot can have a lot of great success too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's where ISL is going in within competition. Where do you see ISL going outside of competition in terms of teams potentially setting up bases? We've kind of heard murmurs of this, and obviously that's a big financial burden and something that is more of a long-term thing. But just after this season, you're fresh off of being in that environment. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what's in the war room of ISL Global, what they're thinking, and I don't know the specifics financially of where they need to be to do certain things. But I think that if this is going to succeed, then DC Trident is swimming in DC, or it doesn't have to be DC. It can move. The team name can move to Miami or wherever, and that's what's got to happen. I think if you train together, it just more team, and it just when you're a pro swimmer, like when I explain to someone that like the customs guy, when I came back, I was like, oh, we were at a pro swim league, and he's like, oh, what team? And I was like, DC Trident. He's like, I'm going back to Alabama. It's like, why? Like, it's hard to explain to people, like, what team do you swim for? DC Trident. Wait, you live in Alabama though. So that just, it doesn't scream professional when it's like that. Cause it's DC in name only. But I think in the future it has to be, we have to train together. And then I know the culture of you swim in college and you stay with your college coach, or some people bounce around, but a lot of people like their college coaches and want to stay with them. I mean, me included. And I know a lot of teams probably wouldn't just jump headfirst into it, but if there's money, I was like talking with Zach Harding on the bus, and I was talking about this idea, and I was like, well, what if you got $150,000 a year? And he's like, oh, I'll go anywhere for that. So I think if there's money, that is not going to be as big of an issue. The money comes in. But I mean, $150,000 a year for a professional athlete, you can look at like a lot of leagues, like small leagues too, in Europe, like for, soccer or whatever. And soccer's different, but small leagues, $150,000 a year for a professional athlete is not a ton. And it's not like it'd be $1 billion organization, the DC Trident. It won't be like up there surpassing the Dallas Cowboys anytime soon. But it doesn't mean it can't just go a little bit more. And I don't know the specifics of where they are and the financials of it. I didn't really get involved. I didn't really talk about that with anybody. But I don't think it's that far out of reach. I think if we can capitalize off the Olympics, the momentum, and get people watching, then it can build some momentum. And I think also having bases in cities will get more corporate sponsorship. What a team or a corporation in DC might be like, okay, would be more willing to donate if there's a physical team there, and it's a physical object, and there can be community outreach, and you can grow the brand better, and there's so many positives to training in one location as a professional team.
And yeah, again, you talked about this embedded culture of you swim for a college team, and then if you're going to keep swimming, you usually stay with your college team coach if that's an option. So many swimmers do that, and on one hand, it's like, yep, that's how it's always been done, and people find a lot of success with that. And certainly when you're training for an Olympics and you have to be at your best at a certain point, that makes a lot of sense, right? To get comfortable with something and then say, okay, I kind of know how this is going to work, how this is going to go. So now I know I can peak at this certain
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But, on the flip side, right? You take football, you take basketball, you take soccer. It's like you play for college and then you get drafted and
You're
you do
going
not,
whatever they tell you.
yeah, you
Yeah.
do not really even have a say in
Yeah.
who your coach is going to be, what your team's going to be. And it's like, and then you perform or you don't, but
Yeah.
that's that. And I think this ISL format we just talked about of, it's like there's competitions all the time, and you
Yeah.
don't have to peak at a certain
Yeah.
point. You just have to swim pretty good, 90% of your ability,
Yeah.
and then you're going to be a good team member. That's gonna make it a lot easier for people to say, okay, I can try this, I can do something else, I can go to this big training base.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, so I heard stories about people that are having trouble with training at their colleges right now. I mean, this is a different situation with COVID and all, but I mean, when you think about it, what um, obligation do the university, the athletic departments have to letting these professional athletes stay and train and use their facilities? Like, I mean, you swam for 4 years, but I mean, there's not much financial part of it, but who's to say they can just be like, no, you're done, like, you can't come back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing and I don't know, there's a lot of stuff going on with that, and so it's a better environment, and you're someone with instead of someone with the college teams. Some places like IU has a great pro group, so you're competing, like Annie Laser and Lily are swimming against each other, like, that's what it needs to be. But not every college is like that. I mean, I'm at Alabama, we're like Ryan and myself, but some places it's just you and the college team, and maybe the college team doesn't have the people that you need to be training with. So
Right. And I think in many cases it's someone in a club team,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
They're training with their club team. And sure, that can work for some people, but I think it's going to be beneficial to everyone if you have a group of pros, right? I think we've seen it.
yeah,
We've seen it at numerous college programs. We've seen it, Dave Marsh do it with Team Elite.
yeah,
It's like it works. And again, I don't think the point is, well, did these people go best times under X coach? It's, did these people have like sustained success at a high level under X coach? And I think the answer is almost always yes if you go to a pro group like that.
yeah. You're not when Steph Curry hits a three, you don't look back and say, oh, was that a personal best three? Or, I mean, it's different. Those are plays. It's a different thing. But like,
Yeah.
he got the win. He hit the shot. It's yeah. I think just because we've done it always this way doesn't mean it's the right way, or doesn't not mean it's the right way. But there's other ways to do it too.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't, yeah.
Same example, like, Clay's record of what is like 51 points in a quarter, right?
Yeah.
Every season he didn't
He's
hit
not
51 points in a quarter. No one's saying,
exactly,
well, it's a failed season. They're saying, well,
exactly.
Golden State won a title this year.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's a better way of it. Derrick Henry had 250 yards, but then he had 100 the next game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Like, and I think this unpopular opinion, the SwimSwam commenters, you're gonna say something about it. The times on the ISL broadcast, it's good. It's not great. I mean, it's not great that they're not showing them, but there's a lot of numbers on that screen, and for the average fan, it's like, and I get it. I get you want to see the times. I think maybe a plus 0.03, or how far you were behind might be better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that shows ISL's idea of it's not about the time. It's about winning. It's about your place. It's about where you were. And the jackpot thing. That's crazy. But it's exciting. It makes it exciting. Yeah. I don't know about stealing the money, but yeah.
That seems harsh. I agree.
That's very harsh.
Stealing the money is like, oh God. Like, okay, they already like this team's already gonna win. Like,
Yeah,
geez.
that's tough. But I mean, you got a game changer. You got a Steph Curry. You got a Tom Brady. They can make a big difference. And I love the skins too. The skins being different. That make it so it makes it so much more exciting. So much more about it makes it more of a game than just because that medley relay is super important, and winning that can go a long way.
Yeah, and I mean, we just put an article about that about how you could actually get more points. Yeah, if you don't win, or if you go for a jackpot in the first round, and so I don't think ISL was intending for that to be the case necessarily. But again, it's like it's a game, and it's the more we can gamify things, I think the more interest we're gonna have. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know about jackpotting the money, but I do love the jackpot points wise. It's made it super exciting, and it's like for the average fan, it's like if I'm gonna tune into swimming and be like, okay, like what? It's like if I was gonna tune into a track meet. It's like, what would it take for me to be interested in like a track meet? It's like, oh, this person won by so much that they stole their points. Like, I'll watch that.
Yeah. No. I mean, the time is just so. If they're going for the average fan, then it can be. And I understand you got to play to your base though, but it's up on the website 15 minutes later. So you can take that, SwimSwam commenters.
Agreed. Yeah, we put all the times in our live results, so no one should be crying over spilt milk here. All right, so Robert, this has been awesome. Before we sign off, any parting thoughts moving forward on you personally or with ISL?
No.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.